Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another stock market outlook video brought to you by DeepView. We're going to run through the market indexes, leading themes and groups in the market right now. And there's a lot to talk about on that front. So definitely stick around until then. And then, of course, we're going to wrap things up looking at some individual names that have moved really strongly this week and are potentially setting up for continuation next week as well. So make sure you leave a like down below if you enjoy this video. Subscribe if you haven't yet and want to see more videos just like this every single week. And lastly, since this is brought to you by DeepView, which is my daily driver for everything, screening, charting, my routines, market analysis, the works, definitely want to mention that we've got a special promotion right now, 2 months for $39. We've seen a big influx in people just in the past few weeks. So if you want to be a part of it and check this platform out, this is the perfect time to do so. Not quite sure how long this offer will be on the table, so definitely click the link down below in the description, as well as popping up right now, and check it out. With that said, let's go ahead and dive right in with the market analysis. This is my market monitor dashboard setup that I've got here in the platform. First, taking a look at the Qs. We've obviously started this uptrend here. We're above a rising 21 EMA and 10 EMA. We saw a little bit of pullback today, decent close, and things are looking pretty good. Very simply, this 21 EMA is kind of my guiding light. I think it's the best indicator that there is, especially for market analysis. Just simply breaking above a rising 21 EMA after some consolidation is often kind of the start of a new up cycle. You could also use kind of two different closes and kind of tweak that. But just keeping it very simple, if we're above a rising 21 EMA, it's probably a decent period for swing traders, position traders to be testing trades and seeing market feedback. And I just hit refresh for no good reason. But yeah, the 21 EMA, really great tool. And definitely recommend just checking that out, popping up on your charts and see if it works for you. So just breaking down this week, obviously we were consolidating right near this reversal pivot. This level was pretty key because we did see this big downside reversal, about a month and a half ago now. And we were able to consolidate, tighten below that, and then pop above it, tighten again, and then really break out on this day. Good responses to PPI, CPI, those macro events, and then pretty much, slight pullback to end out last week. A little bit of a fade yesterday, but I like how we acted today. And honestly, we're getting a little bit of ahead of ourselves, a little bit short-term extended from that moving average. So I like kind of how we finish things off. And, even a little bit more pullback retest of this pivot, which is pretty much the all-time highs, could definitely be warranted. And things look pretty constructive from this index. Bringing up the IWO, this gives you kind of a better sense of how smaller cap names are acting, pretty similar. And we can draw in, a trend line right here. It's basically just a retest of this consolidation pivot. And decent close off lows. We'll see if we need a little bit more consolidation here, but things look constructive. Again, we're above a rising 21 EMA that really started on this day, and a really nice positive reversal on this day where we gapped up, tried to fade lower, couldn't push lower, couldn't follow through on this downside momentum, and instead we have an expectation breaker and close above the 21 EMA, and that's what really started this move up, and that's when really individual stock names started breaking out and setting up really nicely. We saw a lot of tight areas, develop in this area, and some nice breakouts, especially Wednesday of this week. I'm sure if you're trading growth stocks, it was probably a pretty good day for you. And then the end of this week, a little bit of pullback, but so far things are acting pretty darn well. And in terms of net new highs and lows, you can see healthy action here, breadths increasing as well. So in terms of those kind of, market context, market breadth indicators, things are acting pretty darn well. Looking at the themes, and we'll take a look at a different view of this in just a second. Just looking at today, uranium, miners, silver, gold, those acted really nicely. Energy as well. Bitcoin names acted pretty strongly. So this is sorted by percentage change from the open. And you can see on a 5-day basis, they had pretty good days as well. But I like going over to the performance charts view. This is an app that we have here in the dashboard, a chart, an element that you can add to your dashboard. You can link it to charts, but I like kind of seeing this overall view. So here I've got my theme ETFs watch list. You can set this up for any watch list that you have and then use any of the data points that we have right here to create this nice kind of visual indication of performance. So I've got theme ETFs here. I've got stuff for gold. I've got stuff for e-commerce, cybersecurity, all the key theme ETFs I've got loaded in here. And then I've got the sectors, mega caps, and then kind of my universe list. I like to see how that's performing as well. And right now we've got price percent change from the open. So again, we've got uranium. That really was super strong today. We'll take a look at that chart, and also CCJ in just a minute. Silver also extremely strong. Gold. So those miners are really, nailing the top of this list. And then we see some pullback in SMH. I definitely felt that in my own portfolio. And from the open, IBLC and MSOS also pulled back pretty hard. But I also, towards the end of the week, like to change this to price percent change on a 5-day basis to see kind of what that week's performance looks like. And again, we've got silver at the top. We've got IBIT, which is the Bitcoin ETF, up there. We've got some ARK funds there, blockchain. So this kind of gives you an overall perspective in terms of the week. How did things perform? Most of them were, well up on the week. These were the standouts up here, the miners and Bitcoin. SMH, decent games, although we pulled back in later in the week. But you can kind of see that overall, move overall. And we'll do the same here. Price, if I can spell price percent change. And we'll do 5 days. There we go. So again, that's the leaders over the past 5 days. And you can see the mega caps acted pretty well today. Tesla off the open, but NVIDIA did pull back in pretty hard. And these are the percent change from the open leaders of my own portfolio. So in terms of indexes, just going back to this pretty quickly, we're in an uptrend. We're above a rising 21 EMA. We can keep it as simple as that. We're above the 50 SMA as well. We're just kind of emerging from this consolidation. We broke out to new highs on this Wednesday and then pulled back for 2 days, completely normal within a trend. And we remain above a rising 10, 21, and now 50 SMA. So, in terms of trend following, you can keep it as simple as that. Stage Weinstein indicators also going back to positive here. So things are looking pretty good. And in terms of the leading themes, I'm still focused on semiconductors. The miners are certainly interesting. AI software is definitely interesting. Energy has been a theme, although, for me personally, I don't have too much success trading the energy names. But those are kind of the key themes I'm watching, along with kind of fast food. You've got SG, Texas Roadhouse, Wingstop as well within that theme. So those are kind of the key areas, themes that are working really nicely. MSOS as well, kind of interesting. We've got some news events there. We'll see if that actually develops into a tradable theme or not. And then, of course, you've kind of got the social media theme going on, although, that's kind of pop and drop, as we saw with Bitcoin, AMC, Reddit, which we'll take a look at in just a minute. But those are kind of the key themes that I'm watching. But if there are any others that I missed, let me know down below in the comment section, any ones that you are focused on. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at some individual charts and actually start with CCJ. That's perfect. This, of course, uranium miner here, and, acted pretty well, broke out of this tight range. RMV put in that tight signal here. When this goes to zero, often stocks are very, very tight, and this can lead to strong breakout moves if we're set up within an overall setup and mature base, that type of thing. And we're also part of a larger theme. I actually just did a full webinar on trading VCP patterns using RMV. That should be out, I believe, this weekend. And if it is, I'll link that down below. Highly recommend that. I think for an hour and a half or so, I walked through a lot of examples, how I use the indicator, and it's definitely a really awesome perk in terms of using DFU, because not only do you get this visual indication that helps you spot these tight areas that are pretty subtle, and often only the top traders can identify them, very quickly. So it saves you time, but you can also screen and sort your watch list by it. So that's, a key thing that's really helpful. We've got preset screens that look for tight areas like this. So you can just kind of, scroll through them very quickly, spacebar through, and try to identify top ideas. So again, if you haven't tried out DFU, check out the link down below in the description. But CCJ acting nicely, breaking up the right-hand side of this base. Volume wasn't huge, but the price move is definitely stand out. Reddit, another name I wanted to go through. Obviously, moving out the right-hand side of this larger base, we've got this kind of social media theme going on, a little bit of an expectation breaker today. We had a negative close yesterday, and what do we do this day? We gap up. We don't close super strongly, and what I'd like to see actually is just kind of more of a pullback, kind of set up a pivot of this high where we consolidate, maybe pull back a little bit, tighten up here on the right-hand side, form a nice kind of cup and handle here within the IPO base, see that RMV drop down to 0. And then that could be really constructive. But in terms of here, it's a little tough to manage risk against. This low doesn't seem super strong. So I'd like, a few days consolidation, a few inside days, upside reversal to set up a kind of clear bottom of a range that forms where you can put your stop loss and keep your risk really, really tight. So Reddit, definitely a name to watch. This would have been a really nice upside reversal to focus on. It actually got kind of tight here and then popped through. So this could have been actionable through this pivot. I'll actually draw in that line here. But, definitely a name that's been super strong and kind of been leading, but has been a little bit choppy and tough to enter in, as many IPOs are within this kind of more volatile period. But definitely a name I'm watching and see how basically it progresses. PAAS, Pan American Silver. Obviously, silver's been doing well. We had an RMV pivot right through this area, strong breakout on this day. Then we consolidated near the top of this base again, tightened up again. As you can see, RMV pulling back, and then good action today along with silver. So definitely another miner worth taking a look at. Coinbase, this is been a little bit frustrating. I've tried this a few times as it tries to kind of rally off this level, but I'm kind of watching this area here, and that's kind of my good over the line, bad below type level. We are below declining 21 EMA, so we really need to get back above that, have that kind of flip to rising to really start an uptrend. We're also below the 50 SMA now, but this is kind of the institutional leader in terms of crypto names. It's high dollar volume, that type of thing. So we'll see if we can push higher inside day today after a poor close here. So a little bit of a positive expectation breaker, but it's got to really push higher and progress. I thought it was going to do this on this day, and then we have a negative expectation breaker. So this is a choppy period. We've got a lot of kind of undercuts and attempted rallies, and nothing fruitful has come out of it yet. So we'll have to see how this acts and if it can really push up. But this can really trend once it gets going. We've had two kind of prior bases that have led to really nice trends, and just right now we're again in kind of this period where we haven't really formed, we haven't started forming the up the right side part of the base. So definitely a name that still have on your radar, especially if crypto can really push out and Bitcoin can start trending again. Let's see. ONON, recent earnings gap, tightened up nicely. RMV went to 0, then pushed out really nicely today. Showed some good RS. Not too many growth names acted super great today, but this one did. Definitely a name to keep having on your radar. Not the biggest volume on this gap up, but we're kind of entering that big weekly area, and we'll see if this can actually push out. If we open up the earnings, let's go ahead and take a look at that. We've got really nice growth and 151% EPS surprise. That will always get the institutions interested in, and slight beat on sales revenue growth as well. Let's see, Zeta, this one's been acting really nicely since the earnings gap, tightened up nicely, pushed out this day. So this could have been pretty much your pivot, and acting really nicely, just following through and just trending above that 10 EMA. Let's see if there's any other names I really wanted to focus on. Netflix, this was tightening up, tried to push higher, a little bit wicky up here. So I really want to see it, establish itself and close strongly. But most things were weak today. Let's definitely take a look at NVIDIA. Let's bring that up. Obviously, earnings are coming up. Nice move here out of the cup and handle. I'm sure everybody owned it on this day. And then it's pulled back in today. But really, it's just kind of a retest of the top of this range. And I'm watching to see if we can find support at the 10 EMA, which is now above my cost. And see if we can kind of build a range against this pivot and re-break out. Maybe it waits until earnings and frustrates, but you kind of have to make the decision if you have enough profit cushion to hold through, or a portion of your position through that earnings cycle, or just wait to play a potential earnings gap like we've had before. CLSK, another crypto name, just kind of reversed down today. Let's see what other names I wanted to go over. Sweet Green for sure. This is kind of my focus in that kind of fast food space. Big earnings gap, the highest volume ever, I believe, or at least HV1. And it's just been going dead quiet and tight. Lower volume as well. RMV all the way down to 0. I've tried it once or twice, kind of taking it off and just kind of waiting for that big push and kind of reconfirmation of the upside. But this is definitely pretty much top of my focus list for next week, just because it's been so tight, huge volume here, and then just absolutely no give back, holding right near that HVC, which is an easy spot where you can manage risk against. If it starts pushing out, you can manage risk against that level or the low of this range if you want to give it a little bit more room. But really, really tight. Not much more to say there. Definitely a focus of mine into next week. Wingstop within the same theme has kind of struggled getting going from this base, but it'll be good to see if this can get going. That'll kind of support the group move and kind of help SG out as well. Let's see here what others I want to cover. KLAC had a really nice move on Wednesday. Nice fall through on that day after this outside day. And then, a little bit of give back. We'll see if we can tighten up again and kind of reconfirm to the upside. Pins, this was pulling back into the HVC, or actually not into the HVC, into the top of the base. Let me draw that in here. And then pushed off here, but really nice tight day. So it could be actionable through these highs, and RMV remains tight. And we'll see if we can kind of get some more juice and push out on volume, because even on this lift up, we didn't see too much volume come in. So definitely would like to see, more volume of, around this level. That would be ideal. Let's see if there's any others I really wanted to cover. IoT, this has been a frustrating one. This has been super powerful at the right hand side, but I've been chopped up many times in this name. It doesn't like to trend too easily, but it has this time. But it's right at that base pivot, so this could be actionable next week. It might need a few weeks of rest given the strong move off the bottom that's had, and we're right at that kind of key resistance level. But this looks really good on a longer term time frame. Let's see if there's any others I really want to cover. Let's take a look at Tesla, just because it's Tesla. This one, longer term downtrend, so it's got to have kind of a character change here. We're holding the moving averages, which is kind of the first step, but we have to kind of reconfirm and get above rising moving averages. That's the next step in the cycle of changing from a downtrend to an uptrend. And the earnings look bad, but that's kind of when price reversals will happen, is maybe when the earnings and news and everything is very negative. But the earnings do not look good. You can see the trend in EPS growth and sales growth is negative. And the price action has reflected that. So not really a focus until this really turns the corner and shows you that it's worth your capital. You always want to be focused on the top ideas. And right now that's more names like OSCR, which has had some actionable tight spots through this area, and also right in here. RMV helped you spot them. Nice wedge pop here, and this has just been trending nicely. And also TMDX, this has been another name. It's been acting pretty well. Earnings gap and nice fall through, tightened up, tried to push out, and finally made a little bit of progress into the end of the week. I tried this on this day, couldn't stick it, and just kind of moved on, but definitely a name still on my radar and just kind of trending above the moving averages. So that's pretty much it in terms of what I wanted to cover today. We talked about market indexes. We're in an uptrend, pullback today, but we're still above the key moving averages. We talked about the leading themes, what I'm focused on: semis, AI, social media, miners for sure. They really showed up late this week on Friday, and fast food, SG, those names. Let me know down below if there's any other themes that you're watching personally. Jets, aerospace has been strong. China names have been strong recently. So you kind of have to focus and find the top themes, and then look for those top stocks within them. And just looking for strong stocks in general will kind of lead you towards those themes as well. So you can look at both the ETFs or do kind of bottom up analysis by looking at the stocks themselves. But with that said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely leave a like down below. If you're watching up until this point, I definitely appreciate you. Thank you very much. Leave any questions you have down below, any additional comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the market down below, and I'll see you guys in future videos. Take care.